Day 62. Interestingly enough, the tyranny doesn't really stop. It just keeps expanding and multiplying and getting its steely tentacles into daily life and government. Here's from Summit News. Government could enforce who you're allowed to socialize with via tracking app. I'm not even talking about Governor Jay Inslee of Washington, where he wanted to, let's put it this way. I'll break it down into a nice little package here. He wants you to know who you associate with during this pandemic. Now, interestingly enough, here's what he does. Well, if you don't give him that information, not a problem. You just can't buy food. You can have other people buy it for you, but you can't get out of your house. You can't leave. Sounds unconstitutional AF, if you ask me. But let's see what old Paul Joseph Watson has to say here. In the new normal of social distancing, governments could dictate who you're allowed to socialize with and punish wrongdoers via smartphone tracking app. Jay Inslee? Yeah. Governments are now considering a post-lockdown world of social bubbles, which in the UK translate into a proposal to allow people to visit 10 friends and family. Well, let's put it this way. If this was the UK, which it is, you have no... There is no Bill of Rights, technically. You can't just do anything. The government there can pretty much tell you, no, you can't do that. The United States is a little more tricky. You just can't tell a nation of 350 million people to, you can't visit your family, because that's not going to happen. Because, we have ways of dealing with it. Second Amendment. The Belgian government is also considering permitting people to have designated lists of people they can visit in order to keep the risk of transmitting COVID-19 low. You know what? I remember there was this time and place in Europe where around the 1930s where there was a specific neighborhoods you could only visit and live in. They were gated, of course, but we all know what happened there. You also had to wear a special little thing on your chest to signify that you were allowed to live there and you couldn't leave. Psychologist Dr. Linda Papadopoulos, said that people who have been locked down for 2 months, unable to see friends or family, will see it as a progress and a welcome development. What? Who are these people? However, the proposal is completely unenforceable without draconian state monitoring and surveillance. This is where the police come in, of course, and they'll, of course, lick the boots of the governor and or government, most likely. Because, hey, that's the way it is. From a psychological perspective, I am not sure that it works at all, said Rory Sutherland, a behavioral scientist and vice chairman of the advertising agency Ogilvy. Any group assembling could simply claim that everyone present was a part of the same cluster, and without spectacular levels of bureaucracy, it would be impossible to establish the veracity of this. It would reestablish the sight of large groups of people as a norm. I think it falls into that category of excellent science, bad policy, he's added. And that's where the tracking app comes in. Of course, the government already tracks you because you have your cell phone on you. And if you think that the government isn't tracking you, you're insane and or high and like to get some of that green icky wicky stuff with you. Don't worry about the enforcement of these bubbles. The government could use smartphone apps to track and trace bubble violators, writes Zero Hedge. It's easy to envisage a not-too-distant dystopia of state-enforced social distancing where the mandatory app will deduct points from your social credit score, China, if you venture outside of your house once too often or to meet with an unauthorized friend. Orwell rolls in his grave. Here from my adopted state of Florida, Miami-Dade County announces the new normal plan. Wonder what that could be. Matter of fact, I hate that term new normal. That means that, hey, guess what? Everything has changed and the government decides what the new normal is. How about we decide, you jackbooted thugs? But hey, let's hear them out first. I could just be over-exaggerating or taking this to the extreme, but probably not. Get ready for what Miami-Dade County is calling the new normal. Oof. That's the title of the lengthy and highly detailed document released by the County on Wednesday that lays out rules and guidelines for restaurants, salons, retail stores, copy editor, and other non-essential businesses that the plan to begin a gradual and limited reopening next Monday. The document calls for putting stringent capacity and safety rules in place. Sounds pretty unconstitutional to me. The report focuses on an extensive cleaning measures and protocols to enforce proper distance requirements at businesses, and it includes many guidelines and practices that are already seen at essential stores. Copy editor, CBS News, like social distancing markers, mandatory masks on employees and customers, and hand sanitizer stations everywhere. I disagree with the hand sanitizers. The thing is that let's think about this. If you constantly remove bacteria and viruses off your hands, okay, essentially you're going to create a situation where those bacteria and viruses are going to become more rampant when you don't become immune and or desensitized, if you will, to them. Okay. Restaurants have lots to do before opening in Miami-Dade. For instance, some requirements and guidelines include plexiglass barriers needed along counters and at cash registers. Bar restaurants must be closed. Bar counters must be closed? Why? No more afforded to a table unless people live together. Tables must be properly distanced. Touchless trash can lids. Employees must take their temperatures every day and self-report fever. No self-service options. Okay. Menus must be disposable or viewed. Oh, okay. That's the self-service option. So, you know how when you go into Whole Foods and they have those buffet places where you can pick up food and, like, say you want a salad, I guess those are going away. Restrooms must be single-use for opening phase. What? The report also recommends a restaurant employee who oversees workers in the kitchen and enforces strict distancing rules. Some worry about whether at restaurants will comply with the rules. Fran LaBoy, a former nurse and Miami-Dade County resident, said she's been concerned about behavior she's seen from people waiting outside restaurants for takeout. Great. Another Ninny Nancy or Karen out there. I know it's the people that waiting outside again that I'm concerned about. As I see things that they've taken out, only the mask on. They're waiting outside. Oh, you Karen. Retail stores will see other guidelines, including customer lines for fitting rooms. Checkout must have floor markers 6 feet apart. If customers handle or try on clothes, items must be cleaned before return to shelves. Shoot. Carts and baskets must be sanitized between uses. Create one-way circulation inside stores. Well, I don't see why that is a big deal. One way. I've seen it here in Ecuador where all the I get the social distancing markers, but the one way down the aisles, I don't understand that. The aisles aren't small; they're pretty wide. Why? Whatever. They here, especially the carts and baskets, are sanitized between uses. And matter of fact, I went to this butcher shop here 2 days ago, and I bought some really cool Wagyu. But anyways, there was this booth you walked in and it sprayed you, and you had to like turn around. It was like one of those the TSA security checkpoint where you have to stand in there and that thing. You stand there, your arms up, and it goes. And it shoots you with, violent x-rays. There are also mission rules and suggestions for salons and personal grooming businesses, like, if possible, install plexiglass barriers between salon chairs. Again, waste of fucking money. Customers must make an appointment. Only customers receiving service may enter. Again, I don't see... This is draconian. Hairdressers must wear masks and gloves. Most do. Use single-use aprons and cannot share tools. I've never seen a salon and or a barbershop share tools. Workstations must be thoroughly cleaned after each customer, which they sort of do anyways. Lizda Alexander is a stylist. She's concerned about making sure proper distancing precautions are taken. I'm not comfortable going back to work at full capacity. Then don't go back to work. The salon stations are not 6 feet apart. Our sinks are on top of each other. We're bumping into each other. You're talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars to do this, knowing full well that in a year, maybe year and a half, this stuff goes away and we go back to normal. The real normal, not the new normal. Again, this is ridiculous. There are lots of other rules and suggestions for businesses and offices beginning to reopen this new normal. For instance, the county is encouraging people to avoid paying with cash. There we go. The way to get you to the digital currency. And is reminding employers to keep a close watch on workers missing work, especially for respiratory infections. The county is also continuing to encourage telecommunicating for workers who work from home. Yikes. You know what? Here we go. This is what those conspiracy theorists out there always warned about. And even I sort of warned about it a few times. Where they needed a pandemic or a crisis to implement their new rules, if you will. Now, going on to the story here. If you see up in the top right corner, it says, if I were a senator or congressman, this is from Donald Trump's Twitter profile, the first person I would call to testify about the biggest political crime and scandal in the history of the USA by far is former President Obama. He knew everything. Do it, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Just do it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more talk. I don't necessarily agree with that, because if you can bring in a former president, even though he's technically a private citizen, but if you can bring a former president in just because you don't like him, if he knows something, then you could do it to anyone else. However, I see where Donald Trump is saying on this side is where, let's put it this way. Barack Obama knew everything. But obviously, it's out there in front of us. It's not a theory. It's a conspiracy fact. He actually had a conspiracy against the president, the current president, if you will. So why wouldn't you want to have him answer a few questions? You would. So, back from another Summit News, Trump call on Obama to testify he knew everything. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I've already read that. There's his tweet. Where is the 302? That's the formal document for investigation. It is missing. Was it stolen or destroyed? General Flynn is being persecuted. Obamagate. Representative Nunes promises criminal referrals to Greg Jarrett in Fox News Nation. It's about time. Okay. See, Trump made these comments as Graham announced an in-depth probe into abuses by the Obama-era Justice Department following the publication of a list of names associated with unmasking of former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn. Richard Grenell, he's the acting DNI, and I think he's getting replaced by I think John Ratcliffe or something like that. But Grenell, that guy's a beast, man. He went in there with a freaking flamethrower and started clearing house, and dude's a good dude. Judiciary Committee will begin holding multiple in-depth congressional hearings regarding all things related to Crossfire Hurricane starting in early June, Graham said, referring to FBI's code name for the Russia investigation. Referring to the possibility of Obama being called as witness, Graham said, I'm greatly concerned about the precedent that we set by calling a former president for oversight. That's what I'm saying. Not a good thing, but again, you got to do something. No president is above the law. However, the presidency has executive privilege. There you go. Claims against other branches of government. To say we're living in unusual times is an understatement. We had the sitting president, Trump, accusing former President Obama of being part of a treasonous conspiracy. Exactly, he was. But hey, to undermine his presidency, we have the former president suggesting the current president is destroying the rule of law by dismissing the General Flynn case. Yeah. So to end things there on here, this is day 62. It's pretty interesting that what's going on. You have the former president and the vice president, right before the change of the administration, doing everything possible to insert their steely tentacles into the current government that we have right now. And we saw with the Russian investigation that hamstrung President Trump. Most likely, he probably could have got a lot more things done, but it hamstrung him with the the cloud of the Russia thing, and it was bullcrap. They tried it, and it didn't work because there was nothing there. And they got rid of a lot of people. A lot of people fell. A lot of people had to hire high-priced attorneys to back them up, and then they're out of a job. They don't have their house anymore. It's just ridiculous. So again, I see it from Senator Graham's side. You can't just subpoena President Obama or ex-President Obama into answering questions. But I also see from Donald Trump's side, it's like, hey, he did some shady crap. We need to know what he knew. But again, I don't think in the end this is going to do anything. It's actually going to be, people are going to get more pissed off. Like the people on the left who are pissed off that President Trump didn't get impeached, or he was impeached, but he didn't get thrown out of office because there was nothing there. And I think what's going to happen here on the right, you're going to see people pissed off that when this is all said and done, no one's going to get thrown in jail. That just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. I would be extremely surprised if this actually happened. Someone was, paid a price for it, politically and or with their time in jail. Again, day 62 in the bag. I'll see you for day 63.